What's going on, people? How y'all doing out there in Cowboy land, man? Um, this is Coach Marv. I'm just coming in for a few minutes, man, to talk about the topic that I had up there, man. I told people I was gonna go on there, man. I saw some things on Twitter, on X. I keep saying Twitter. I saw some things on X that I thought was very, very interesting. Someone people tagged me into some of this very interesting um, commentary. Um, and probably gonna be the last time I talk about this. Um, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back a little bit. We're gonna go back to the last regime and probably the regime before that. When I talk about the coaches regime, I'm talking about we're gonna go back to the last regime with Mike McCarthy. We may even go back some with Jason Garrett. And we're gonna even go back even farther than that. We're gonna talk about some of the things that that I agree with some of the people are saying, and some of the things I don't agree with. And when some of the things I don't agree with, I'm gonna give you the reason why I don't agree with it. Some of it's gonna come from experience. Some of these things is gonna come from let's be logical, and because none of us of a fan base, we really don't know what goes on. One thing we can do is take the emphasis of what we see and put things together and try to be logical about certain things. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about the topic about what's been stopping us from winning. Um, One, I want to say first, you can't put 30 years into put 30 years on the Dak Prescott. You can't put 30 years on a Mike McCarthy. You can't put 30 years on a Jason Garrett. Um, some people say, well, the common denominator has been Jerry, and so you can put 30 years on him. And yes, he's been there the longest. You would think that he would have a brunt of some of a lot of the burden of why this team hadn't gotten over the hump. But truly, to be true, the truth of the whole matter is, I hate when people individualize the greatest team sport in sports. There is no other team sports that has this many moving parts at the same time in two or three different groups using a high level of physical movements as well as of athletic movements with such complexities of playmakers and people doing certain things like almost like a vehicle, like a car or a human body. Everything's working in sequence to perform, as well as moving against another man's will. And when I talk so highly about football in that nature, about it being the greatest team sport, it's impossible for you to individualize this great sport in winning. Now, media and the new media and all that, now they're trying to individualize football because promoting team unity and team togetherness is not sexy. It doesn't sell. I heard something. If I heard something at the NBA Finals when the head coach of the Oklahoma City and the general manager Pressey of the Oklahoma City, when they was on the podium as they was winning the NBA championship, and they talked about they talked about how unselfish this team was. They won a championship based off team. Yes, Shea Gilchrist was the MVP. But every interview that he did after the game, it was always a group of guys. He never wanted to do an interview by himself. And these people understood his teammates understood his what he gave the team, but he understood that he was nothing without them. And what he did was his part of the total equation. And they won a championship because of team. Well, of course, everybody's going to try to individualize it because they want to chalk a ring up to a player. That's what we call the ring culture. We want to chalk it up to a player. And we're going to try to chalk. We're trying to chalk this 30-year drought because everybody wants to know who's at fault. Don't y'all remember after every game, after every big time loss, the first thing Sports Center puts up, or if anybody loses, the first thing they put up there is who's at fault, who's mainly to blame, who's the blame, who is gets the more credit for the win, who gets the more credit for the credit for the loss. Because they want to individualize this great sport. And those who individualize it, those who put it in an individual thing and say it's all on this person, it's all on that person, it's all on that, usually are the teams that lose. The teams that are behind the scenes that do it as a unit, and in that group, they know everybody is just as important. They allow the media and everybody else talk, but they understand that everybody's invested in them winning, and everybody's is fault in their failures. So you want to talk about the Cowboys? Yes, there's been a multitude of problems. There's been a bunch of problems of leadership. There's been problems with sometimes there was talent. If you go back farther, before, if you want to go to the whole 30 years, you want to go back after the Jimmy years, after the Bear switching years, as the talent went down. But as the talent went down, if not was just the talent, you lost the discipline of the football team. If anybody remember, and I asked our young fans, because we got a lot of young fans that heard of the Cowboys winning, but actually wasn't around and actually watching the Cowboys when we won big games. I tell people to go back, if you're a Cowboy fan, and if you can remember the last time we won a Super Bowl, and if you was watching football, or you can remember, go look at the America's Game. The little thing they put together with all the Super Bowl teams, where they have about 5 or 6 players talk about the season and how they went through to get to the Super Bowl. Go watch the Americans Game when they talked about the last Super Bowl that we won. And it'll give you some insight about how the Cowboy team was. Everybody talks about it like Deion Sanders was the guy that helped us win the Super Bowl. Yes, we got Deion Sanders from the San Francisco. He was not got him from it. He was a free agent. And yes, we brought him in. But this team was already Super Bowl built before Deion Sanders got there. They already had the Super Bowl mentality before Deion Sanders got there. If you don't remember, if you remember when we lost to San Francisco the year before, we lost in the NFC Championship game. We were going for 3 Super Bowls in a row. We had 2 offensive tackles out that game, and Larry Allen had a bum ankle. We had to have him play outside on the outside. and he had an ankle he shouldn't be playing on. And we didn't have Eric Williams. He was out. Troy Aikman threw 3 interceptions in the first half. And we came back a little bit in the second half, but we were unsuccessful. We beat them in the second half. We threw 3 interceptions in the first half. We had a bum ankle, and we lost that game. We had a Super Bowl type team then, but we were leaking oil. Why were we leaking oil? If you go back to America's game, they would tell you how we start not being a disciplined football team, how the motivation and the leadership that Jimmy had given that team, and the tight on them pushing discipline that he gave that team. Barry Switzer was just say, I'm just driving the car. The car got all the it's fully loaded. I don't need to change the oil. I don't need to get buckled up nothing. I'm just going to drive the car. And by him driving the car and not giving the discipline to it, in the America's game, Troy Aikman talked about how that was more of a strain on the players because guys started doing stuff that was not common on the field. Not because they were doing stuff out in the open. They always had the White House and doing all kinds of things. But the discipline on the field started to wane when Jimmy was gone. All the assistant coaches was there. But that leadership and that iron hand started to wane. And if you watch America's game, you would understand when they came in that next year and they got Deion Sanders. I don't think some of y'all remember that Deion Sanders didn't play the first 4 or 5 games. He was out. It wasn't Deion Sanders' biggest year as a football player. But he was able to make plays for the Cowboys because we were stacked everywhere else. We did bring Deion in here into a team that wasn't already Pro Bowl, Super Bowl ready. He did save us. In actual fact, I'm here to tell you, if we get our offensive line healthy the next year, without Deion, we probably in the NFC Championship or maybe in the Super Bowl again. Because I don't think Troy Aikman will have 3 interception game again. But it was a wear and tear on that football team. And they talked about that in America's game when they talked about, the guys talked about and said when they won that Super Bowl, the last one we won, they barely finished the finish line. That's with Deion Sanders. They say they barely got across the finish line. And they knew that the run was over. Because Jimmy was not there to keep the fresh perspective and run and keeping, building, and motivating other guys. And from then on, I think the biggest mistake, if y'all want to talk about Jerry Jones, the biggest mistake that Jerry Jones made, that's probably his biggest error that has been with him since that day, that time. He ran Jimmy out of here because he said, with talent, I can get 100 guys to coach a team that got talent and win a Super Bowl. See, what happened was he forget how the talent was built. See, a lot of y'all out there, that these young Cowboy fans think that we go out and go get free agents and get, because y'all hear the word that we got Deion Sanders, and I think some of y'all started thinking, saying, "Oh yeah, man, we the boys, we'll build it through, go get all these free agents, and that's how we're going to build it. No, that team was homegrown. And it wasn't all first-round draft picks. They got Nate Newton because Nate Newton was cut. They got Mark Stepnoski because he was cut from the and he was undersized, and they drafted him late in the rounds. They got Tourné, and they made Tourné he was a Dallas Cowboy defensive tackle, and they decided to make him an offensive lineman. They got Eric Williams in, I think, the third or fourth round from Central State. They got some other linemen that was on the Great Wall from guys that was cut from other teams. They made every draft pick work. But they had some hell of a coaching. And they had it really hard. I don't think, do y'all remember when Jimmy got up there with the speech? When he got in the Ring of Honor, when he said, he told Troy, Emmett, Charles Haley, Michael Irvin, he said, y'all thought I was an asshole. Y'all thought I was a tyrant. They didn't like him. Michael liked him, but they thought he was crazy. But he saw talent, he molded talent to get it to the right place. See, I always talk about talent in my other previous shows. And I told you what, when you get talent on the team, if you want to go get free agents or whatever, when you get talent on the team, there's only 4 things a coach can do with talent. He can't make them because the mom and dad makes talent. But he can motivate talent. He can refine their skills. He can hold talent accountable. And he can put talent in the right spots for it to be successful. And great talent can't take bad coaching. Because great talent will make bad coaching will make talent not reach its full potential. But I think some of y'all need a history lesson about how this team was built. Some people gonna say Charles Haley. If you look at Charles Haley, when Charles Haley came here, Charles Haley's greatest years was over. There was no more 15, 16 sack years. I think he averaged about 9 to 10 sacks a year with the Cowboys. But his veteran leadership was important. But do you know the story when Charles Haley got to Dallas? We said Jerry went and picked him up. But do you know that him and Jimmy Johnson almost came to blows early on? They said, well, why, Coach? Why they came to blows? Because Jimmy had to let Charles Haley know that I run this show. And I was the alpha. And once Charles Haley figured that out, he went on to be the guy that helped the guys learn how to get to a championship and understand what they need to do. Charles Haley used to back up Troy Aikman on the field when Troy Aikman was yelling at his players. Something I would like to see Dak do a little bit more. But the reason why Aikman was such a tyrant, a sergeant on the field, because he was backed up by a head coach. See, players cannot be big time leaders or sergeants to other players if they're not backed by the mentality of the head coach. If they're not backed up, players are going to revoke on them. But you got to understand they can't revoke on him because they understand that that's a level coming from the coach. But I know some of y'all sitting out there saying, well, Coach, well, man, we talk about, players. You got to get players, man. We just ain't had the players, man. We ain't had the defensive tackles. We ain't had the cornerback. We ain't had the linebackers. You look at since Will McClay came here. Do you know that the Cowboys themselves, when you even talk about drafting, the Cowboys themselves is probably one of the best undrafted free agent pickups teams in the whole entire NFL? Do you know how great your staff had to be to hit like they hit on undrafted free agents? From the Miles Austins to the Terrence Steeles and all, the list goes on and on. There was a report that we had more Pro Bowlers in the last 10 years than just about anybody in the league. Bill Parcells came here. And we was at a worse point. We was at almost at Jimmy Johnson stage when he came here. He didn't take a bunch of guys and get a bunch of guys off free agents, big time free agents. Yeah, they got Terrell Owens, but you see how Jimmy, the same way that Jimmy treated Charles Haley when he got here, what did Parcells do with Terrell Owens? He broke him, and he made him find out that he was the boss. And it made Terrell Owens better suited to be a better player. And he took that team as far as he could go. But Bill Parcells was done health-wise. He couldn't go no farther. And after Parcells left, Wade Phillips came and took the making of what the Cowboys was, and they went 13-3. But the softness that Wade Phillips was on the team started to show when we got to the playoff time. And those same undisciplined mistakes started to pop up, and all of a sudden, everything that mentality, the mentality and culture that Bill Parcells made, it don't take long for that to run out. I almost equated like with your kids. You can have your kids in line. You're home. You can lead them with your sister, your cousin, or your aunt and wedding for a week, and it take you 2 or 3 days to get them back in line because they done gone wild. Tell me that. This is the same thing with a football team. It ain't no different. There's a certain level of discipline and how things are supposed to go when you have someone that's in charge. Then you let somebody else get, and we start letting people do what they want to do, it gets out of hand. And it doesn't show up in the little things. It shows up in the things that when we get into the biggest moments, it's where they fall apart. But let's go on up here to the Mike McCarthy years. This was started the whole system because I think it was somebody on the YouTube, on Twitter, they posted, and that was a beautiful post. They said that they had tried to give Mike McCarthy all the credit that they can give Mike McCarthy, but as they look back on it, they saw very big flaws, even with the run game and everything else. And I'm here to say that I tried to give Mike McCarthy the benefit of the doubt. I did. But where things changed for me was that I'm not stupid. This offense didn't change very little. And it got to be an offense that this only thing really changed was we just ain't run the ball much as we ran when Kellen Moore was here. Then I had to say, at the end of the year, when we say Mike McCarthy got rid of Kellen Moore and the Cowboys let Kellen Moore go, then I had to start looking at this. Mike McCarthy didn't get rid of Kellen Moore. Jerry Jones them didn't get rid of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore quit and got him another job. Because if the Cowboys got rid of Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy got rid of Kellen Moore because they fired him, do you think they would have interviewed Kellen Moore for the job? And I could tell you why Kellen Moore got out of here. Everything Mike McCarthy said about you design it, you call it, that was a bunch of BS, man. He couldn't run his offense the way he wanted because Mike wanted to run it the way he wanted to run it. Now, am I blaming Mike for running the offense the way he wanted to run it? I've been saying that what I was wrong was I kept saying I started making feeling Mike was a real beta because I said, why would you take a job and you come here and you said you an offensive guy and you get here an offensive guy and you let another guy just do anything they want offensively. And I knew I kept saying that. Now, if you follow me on the live stream, I kept saying that over and over again. How can he allow this guy to do anything he wants? And we thought it was Kellen. No, it wasn't. Kellen and Mike butt heads because Mike had way more input on the offense than what you thought he did. And when he took it over, he kept it. You could tell because he did not make too many great changes. Now everybody say, well, Dak Prescott got better with his footwork. Well, let me just go back to this. And some people gonna say, man, coach, you reaching here. In 21, 2 years prior to with Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott numbers were just about the exact same than it was with his MVP season. The reason why MVP season was the second run of MVP season because everybody else's stats had came down. Nobody had no stats that was just crazy. I mean, Mike McCarthy had a younger Amari Cooper. He had a younger CeeDee Lamb. He had a younger Tony Pollard when Tony Pollard was breaking runs for 40, 50, 60 yards. He had a younger Ezekiel Elliott when Ezekiel Elliott still had some juice in his body. He had a Dalton Schultz. I mean, he had a third wide receiver. I mean, man, he had people, man. And I said, I did a video the other day. It was called Talented. And I'll stand on the stack. I'll stand on anything that all the football I know. The Cowboys have had enough talent to be at least in the NFC Championship game or at least in the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. There has been teams that has gotten there and I'm counting KC in there, that has been less talented than the Cowboys in those years. Some people not even going to have one Hall of Fame offensive lineman. But where we fall into a thing is, and a lot of fans fall into this. Oh, we just need to get more players. Oh, it's got to be the ownership. And yes, our ownership do some jacked up stuff. Yes, our ownership should have made some moves on this. I don't like the way they handle the contracts. You know, they put stuff too much out in the media. Yes, that is. I'll say this. I go back to where I said Jerry made the biggest mistake of his entire life when he said that 100 guys can coach a team when he had talent and win a championship. He has stood 10 toes down on that. But to win a title, it takes a combination of both. I'm going to give y'all a little fun fact. There's been about 36, I think 36 to 37. It's in there between 35 to 37 different quarterbacks that has been starting quarterbacks that win a Super Bowl out of the 60-something Super Bowls. There's 30, about 35, 30, yeah, about 36, 37, like that. Don't you know there only been about 35, 36 coaches that has been head coaches to win Super Bowls? That means that those two things are really tied to each other. It's a really thing. It's a really thing that's tied to, because it's a lot, man. Every coach will tell you, all these coaches tell you, it's a lot. And I know some people say, well, Mike McCarthy won, man. There are some that caught lightning in a bottle. But like I said, let's look at what stuff tells us. I'm not promoting Kellen Moore as being a head coach. I don't think Kellen Moore is a good head coach. I don't think he's a great leader of men. But Kellen Moore has been in San Diego, with the Chargers, and he's been in Philadelphia. And in both of those stops, in the Chargers and in Philadelphia, each one of them years he ran the ball more than the Cowboys ran in their years. So tell me, who was really the reason why we didn't run the football? He ran the ball with more attempts with the Chargers than the Cowboys ran his first year without Kellen Moore. And he had no running attack then. But they still ran the ball more. He was able to go to Philadelphia and be there when the team went and got Saquon Barkley, and he put Saquon Barkley in his offense and featured Saquon Barkley. That tells me something about a guy would adapt. And then I go back to the 5-game stretch. Remember the 5-game stretch when the year we left, he quit, and we won 6 games in a row? And we were running the ball. I think we talked about it on the other street. And Terrence Steele was busting people. We run. Who was the offensive coordinator then? And then after that, it seemed like the offense went straight passing. Was that Kellen Moore? Or was that Mike McCarthy? Because if it wasn't, we would have seen different in the years that Kellen Moore was gone. See, I used to listen to what people say. But if what you say does not equate to what you do, everything you done said is questionable to me. And not having a physical presence of this team hurt this team. I had another video, and I said another video I did, and it says, "What gets GMs fired?" And I pointed out that perfectly. Jerry Jones don't get fired for being a GM by player acquisition. You know, he might miss a player here and there, but no, not when you rank second in Pro Bowlers and the talent that I can see on this football team. But he got a general manager today. There's a couple of general managers this today. I think in some sport, a general manager got fired with the what? The head coach. Now I understand, B Bird and some other people talking about, well, it ain't no pressure to get fired here because you the owner, so there's no pressure. But what Jerry needs to understand is he always talks about how many Pro Bowls they got. But GMs get fired for not having the right people to run their football team and get the best out of their talent. That's why they get fired. And if Dallas, if you want to have one major thing that Jerry has done that has hurt this team in 30 years, his stubbornness to not hire the right people to run his football team. When I hear people talking about culture is built for who see you every day. Culture ain't, if you're looking for the how a structure of a person of a kid in this house is, if he see his mom or his dad or his mama and dad every day, and he sees his aunt and uncle once a week or once a month, you know who's setting the culture of him? His mom and his dad, because you see them every day. The culture is built by whoever the head coach was here. Jerry and them ain't at every practice. Jerry and them ain't punishing guys on the field when they do something wrong. So if you say the culture was messed up, you point to McCarthy. In the last 5 years, how are you going to win a championship or play for a championship team? And I would put this in the chat for everybody. This question in the chat. Did this team have an identity in the last 5 years? Did this team have an identity in the last 5 years? Now let me give you a little bit of coaching and maybe coaching for your life. When you meet your toughest battles, when you get into your toughest wars, and you get into your toughest battles and your toughest wars, the thing that you depend on then is your identity and what you do best to get you out. And if you don't, you will lose that war. Because what I end up doing in the bigger games, you can't force your identity and your way of playing on the other team. You will always be playing their game. And when you're playing their game, your likelihood of losing when you're playing the better teams is very, very high. So if y'all out there say they didn't have no identity, and if you can't see the identity as a fan, and in 5 years, every time we got in a big game, every time we got into trouble, we will always look disarray. And did we always look like that way? We will always look disarray because we had nothing to fall back on that says that that's our identity. And that ain't got, yes. If y'all want to say that depend on ownership, yes. I heard some people say, well, coach, well, somebody said, well, we need to get some pieces because some of the stuff we're doing is this regular season stuff, but we need to get those places gonna get it, the pieces that gonna get us over the hump in playoffs. Man, listen, man. There ain't no magic portion of no one guy that's gonna get you over playoffs. Don't get wrapped up because a guy makes some plays and say, oh well, how many times the guys have made the plays that been on the team the whole time? Let's talk about the 5 years of playoffs here. Every year Dak is hurt, we didn't make the playoffs. And I'll talk about the last year with the lame duck year because that was a whole another problem. But the second year, we go to the playoffs. We have a very good football team. Our defense plays well, but we have no physical presence. Where's the first time us going to the playoffs? Our coach said that we were scared. He said we had nerves. Okay. The nerves is a reflection of the head coach. Real leaders of men promote confidence, not fear. Real leaders of men promote confidence, not fear. Okay, we lose to San Francisco. Then we come back the next year. We got even a better team. We go, but this time we got to go to San Francisco. Some of our biggest players made, and we're not pinning on them, but we did make the plays. Trayvon Diggs drops an interception. That was on the series where they're about to go up 7 in the game. He makes that interception. We are in control of the game. We make a big penalty. I forgot in the first year we lost San Francisco. We get 15 penalties for 150 yards. Okay, the next year we go to the playoffs. Everybody wants to say because we didn't have no linebackers. You don't become 12-5 because you got that's for sure. We act like the Green Bay Packers ran for 950 yards. I'm finna give you a nugget that nobody talks about. Don't you know the Green Bay Packers ran for about 40 more yards against San Francisco the next week that they ran against us? Go check the stats. They ran for more yards against San Francisco the next week than they ran against us. But San Francisco would give up about 3-4 passes with nobody standing around by more than 40 yards. Why we lost that game? Because we went in that game, and I know this for a fact. We were watching film as a defensive staff for the Super Bowl. We were watching San Francisco film. Like we was already going to play San Francisco. 2 weeks later. We were not prepared mentally to play Green Bay. And when they punched us in the mouth, it was culture shock. And then the last year, what y'all expect from a lame duck coach? I told y'all that from the start with. Lame duck coaches don't work in the NFL. It don't even work in politics. It don't work nowhere. Because you have no power if you ain't got no contract. And if y'all want to talk about who gave a season away, yes, the Joneses gave away the season because they should have pulled the plug before they let the guy go in lame duck status. If y'all want to blame that on the Joneses, yes, you should have. Again, that goes about how you service the people that run your team. I bet you don't go to those oil wells that Jerry got. I bet you don't take no foreman out there that don't know what he's doing, or there's a yes man that really can't get it done. I bet you put one of those foremen out at one of those oil sites he got out there, and that guy don't produce. I bet you'll fire him in a heartbeat. But your football team, we let it ride. Yes, I'm not taking the blame away from them. But I also want y'all fans to know one other thing. When we start giving excuses about the ownership and even me talking about the coaching, well, I don't think the coaching motivated. I don't think they motivated. They ain't got to get the best out of it. I've always said this team has underachieved with the talent level they had. And I guarantee if you interview every coach in this league, they'll probably say that. They will probably say that. They don't want to say that because they don't want to rip coaches. But if they had to say it, they would definitely tell you that. And one thing I love about Dak Prescott, and I don't hear that from nobody else. And I want y'all out there in the chat to answer this question. When we come up short, when the question is asked to everybody, there ain't but one guy on that team to take full responsibility and say, I got to get better. And who is that, people? Who is that person that always take accountability for it and say, I got to get better? That's right, number 4. Everybody else hide behind Dak or hide behind, well, you know something, we need to get some dogs in here. We need to get some more weapons. We need to get some more help. We need it. Those are the people that you can't win with. Because instead of picking up the load and doing better themselves, they're looking for help. See, because when we winning, all our players talk about how bad ballers we are and how great we are and how we got this and how we this and that. And as soon as we start losing, oh, we ain't got enough. Where is it to say that, hey, y'all just ain't played well enough? See, that's this era, that's that era we in. Soon as we lose, I'm watching the NBA, and as soon as the team loses, everybody want to tear the team up and go get a whole new team. Get rid of everybody. Yeah, let's go get this free agent. Let's go take the whole thing up. Maybe the team that you lost to played better than you that day. Maybe you wasn't ready to win that game. Maybe we have to say that we got to get better as a team. So if we don't get no more players, we gonna just throw the season over with because we can't get better. This idea about free agency, man, listen, man. I know it's hard for people to understand this, and I know I'm gonna get pushback about the Philadelphia Eagles. Because the first thing people gonna say Saquon Barkley. And yes, Saquon Barkley was a very pivotal part of that team when they had Swift there 2 years before. Swift ran for 1,700 yards. People forget about that. But Saquon took that to a 2,000. The year they got to the championship with Swift, he had about 1,700. But Saquon took it to 2,000. The year they went to the Super Bowl, the 2 years prior to that, the defense was third-rate defense in the league. The year they won the Super Bowl, they was the first-ranked defense. The year in between that, when they got knocked out in the first round of the playoff, the defense was horrible down the stretch. I mean, couldn't stop nobody. And the running game was mediocre at best. Yes, they got A.J. Brown in a trade. But the rest of that team is homegrown built. Or they might have picked up a guy that backed them when people thought he was bust. And they coached him up to get better. I'm finna give you a stat now that y'all really gonna really shoot me down. If I was to look at the Philadelphia Eagle offensive line, and I would look at the Dallas Cowboys offensive line this year, Dallas Cowboys offensive line is talented by far, more talented than the Eagles offensive line. Because the Eagles offensive line may have one first-round draft pick on there. Because Beckham's gone. I think they got, but I think Lane Johnson might have been the only first-round draft pick on there. The rest of them is third, fourth-round draft picks. We got 3 first-round draft picks on our offensive line. So how could he take that offensive line with they ain't got no first, but maybe one, and make it the best? But people tell me coaching don't mean nothing. Philadelphia took 2 cornerbacks, a slot corner and an outside corner that was rookies this year. Neither one was first round. I don't think neither one was first round draft picks. And they became, one had an interception in the Super Bowl, and they became the number 1 defense with those, and two free agent linebackers that nobody really wanted, and became the number 1 defense in the league. And their number 1 picker, Jordan Davis, didn't even play that much, and they didn't even pick up his 5th-year option. Because they changed their whole defensive staff out. And that defensive staff got the best out of everybody on that roster. But y'all tell me coaching don't mean that. It's about go out there and get the players. They didn't do that. Yeah, you can make a move here and there, but why would we need to make a move with wide receiver? We got one. We drafted one. The one that they drafted, Smith can't do what CeeDee Lamb do. Everybody was talking about Son Reddick. What did they do with Son Reddick? They let him go, and then they won a Super Bowl. They talk about how great talent he was. He worked 10 sacks. Oh man, you heard that Son Reddick man give these 10 sacks. Oh man, he 10 sacks. Man, he's just it's just it. If you ain't gonna do the dirty work, do the small things, fit in the team, you gotta go. We'll be okay. Because good coaches don't run from coaching. They don't say they don't need no talent, but you ain't got to give me everything in the book for me to work it. So yes, the Joneses have made a grave mistake about who they had running their organization. And guess what? Every coach that they let first come in, they let them have a lot more autonomy than what people think they do. They let McCarthy have a lot of leeway when he first got in there. That first coaching staff was all on him. And that coaching staff couldn't see that staff, that offensive line need to be more physical so they can get into floor stuff. Then that's coaching malpractice. I talked about this on the other show, and I'm gonna see if some of y'all remember what I talked about. In 2020 was Mike McCarthy's first year. That's when we had the worst defense in the history of Cowboy football, probably one of the worst defense in the history of football. Dan Quinn comes in 2021. We drafted about 7 of our 11 draft picks. We drafted 7 guys on defense. Now we draft Olster, Michael Parsons, Golston. We drafted 7 guys. We changed the whole entire defense out from 2020 to 2021. Matter of fact, I think we only started about 3 guys from the whole defense. Everything changed out. That defense went from butt naked last to I think top 9 in the league. 9 or 7 in the league in scoring defense. And that's the year we went to San Francisco, even though we gave up 11 penalties with Randy Gregory and all that, but we shut down their run game. Now I'm going to ask y'all a major question. And all y'all in the chat. Is that defense as talented as the defense that we got that Mac Eagle Food's about to put on the field right now? Is the defense that had rookie Osa, rookie Michael Parsons, rookie Chauncey Golsey, a Carlos Watson, a LVE, Jalen Smith that y'all were talking so much about, a Anthony Brown, a first-time starter in Jerome and Curse, a first-time starter in the Wilson. A young Trayvon Diggs, a DeMarcus Lawrence, a Randy Gregory. Is that defense, Malik Collins, is that defense more talented than the defense that we about to start off this year with? If that defense went from butt naked last to 9th, I'm thinking 9th or 7th, and actually played a damn good game in the playoffs, you don't tell me a experienced 4-year guy in Osa now, a experienced Michael Parsons, a Solomon Thompson who was a first-round draft pick and been in this league 10 years at another 3 tech, a third-year Marzi who was a first-round draft pick that played better at the end of the season. The linebacker core was much faster and much better and more experienced. A Bland, a hooker now, an experienced Donovan Wilson, maybe a Trayvon Diggs. And that defense stopped the run in that playoff game, and they had no monstrous 1 tech. And I keep trying to tell you, stopping the run is not a 1 tech. It takes 11 guys dedicated to be dogs to stop a run. You can put the biggest guy in the world up front. I can tell you this. Let's go back to Philadelphia again. Because they're in our division. We can see them. Let's talk about them. Last year, they was number 1 defense. The year before, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. Know who they 1 tech then? Let me tell you who the defensive line then was. Cox was still playing. Jordan Davis was playing. Milton was playing. Carter was playing. And they couldn't stop nobody from running the football. Take away Cox. Jordan Davis don't even play. Milton Milton Williams was playing. New mentality. Stop the run. But everybody tell me, you need to go get, man, you got to get another guy. I didn't say you can't go get a veteran one tech, but when you start putting out that to in the public eye and you let the meet, that's the canned answer. The canned answer says when you look at if a team run the ball on, the first thing when I say can, that's the obvious thing they look and say, well, let's look at the run. Let's look at the run, the defensive tackles. But my eye says, let me look at the 11 guys and see where we'll make a mistake. Because when a guy runs a long run up the middle and he goes for 30 and 40 and 50 yards, the one tech ain't had nothing to do with the first 5. Where was the hell was the safeties at? Where was the backside pursuit for the cornerbacks? Where was those guys? I ain't never seen a great run defense without great safety play playing great run defense. I remember I went crazy on the live stream one year this past season because Donald Wilson, we had a big time game, and Donald Wilson, they brought him up in the box, and he was free and missed the tackle in the backfield. The guy got the first down, and they eventually went on and scored a touchdown. And I was just upset about that for the rest of the series because when you got to make the play, you got to make it. And I'm tired of giving these players that I know are talented the excuse to say, well, you know something, well, we didn't win because the ownership didn't give us enough. Or we fall behind, oh, you know, we didn't win because, you know, Dak can't get us to the Super Bowl. Dak don't come up in the biggest games. When are we going to take accountability to say we got to win it in special teams? We got to win in the defense. I see a talented football team. I've seen untalented teams that's not as talented do great things. Why can't this one do greater things? So let's go to right now. I like what Schottenheimer's saying. I like what Schottenheimer's saying. No, he started to say from the jump street, it's about us. He's trying to make sure everybody is accountable for what's winning. If you on this football team, you said, well, and you answer a question about can the quarterback get us to the championship, your answer should be, can I get us there to a championship? Can we get there to a championship? What Schottenheimer doing, the next thing I like, he's bringing back all the greats and to show them and saying, listen, the same media and the same president's been around Cowboy land for 40, 50 years. We've always been a spotlight on the sun. But when it comes to football, we used to set the standard of hard work. Everybody modeled off them. If you want to talk about the Super Bowl, we had the style and profile of football team, but when we went to the Super Bowl, we practiced in full pads every day. And Buffalo and all those other teams, and even Pittsburgh, they didn't go in full pads. They asked the Cowboys, why y'all go in full pads? And they said, you'll find out when it gets to Sunday. But what we want to do is we want to find an easy way. But let me tell you something. With only thing with acquisition of players and getting all a bunch of players and say I got to get this free agent, I get that free agent, I get this guy, and you don't have the guy to put them together. And I heard somebody say about the game plan. Don't have the guys to put them to make the team put the players in the right position. What I said about talent, you only can motivate it. If you can't motivate it, you can't get them to perform in the big time moments. You need to refine the skills. If it's something the talent is doing that they need to be work on skills, you gonna work them on that skill to get better, to get more polished. You got to be able to hold it accountable. If you come in the game and it's a big time game and you don't perform, I'm not going to allow you to talk about, well, answer the question is, well, can Dak win us to the championship and your defense ain't get a stop? And your leaders on your defense ain't say, you know something, we got to play better. I want to hear them say, man, damn what the quarterback going to do. We got to do it. They don't score, we don't win. They don't win. And put them in the right spots to be successful. Did we ever put Tony Pollard in the right spot to be successful? We got receivers on this team. We talking we got to go get. See, this is what kills me about pimping backwards, Jerry Jones. You going to go out and get receivers because the guy that you had running the offense didn't utilize the receivers you had the right way. So that was you had to go out and keep getting talent and keep getting more talent because you wasted what you had. I believe what Brandon Cooks said. Brandon Cooks never was used right in his offense. Brandon Cooks ain't no stop route guy. And I'm glad McCarthy's gone because he would have used George Pickens the exact same way. Jake Ferguson ain't no out route guy. Jake Ferguson is not a guy that's gonna run when he run the ball, that fake bootleg like we always do and throw the ball to him in the flat. Jake Ferguson is best across the middle, down the seam. CeeDee Lamb, y'all ain't seen CeeDee Lamb yet. If you get CeeDee Lamb catching the ball down the field, CeeDee Lamb might put up numbers y'all ain't never seen before. Get him in space, and you'll see the old CeeDee Lamb is the looseness and making big plays. That's the fourth thing you're supposed to do with talent. Put it in the right place for it to shine. The offense ain't never do that. They ain't doing it for Michael Parsons. Now I know I'm about to get some people upset. If Michael Parsons want to shine and be better than LT, put his butt in the middle of the field and put him on the edge on third down, and you'll see numbers that you ain't never seen before from a player. But he got to want it. He ain't got to worry. He got to want it, and he got to say, I can do it, and I ain't got to worry about no help. And they'll get you some help. You'll make some other guys better. I know a lot of y'all ain't going to understand what I'm saying, but I'm saying it this way. Schottenheimer has a chance to make history. Is it all laid out? Do y'all have everybody you want? Do we have it all laid out? No. Is it some of this stuff you're gonna have to coach it and you're gonna have to make it work? Yeah, that's in any situation. But the only situation that you can have it all laid out without work is fantasy football. Coaches in fantasy football draft all the guys that's the top in their position. They don't have to put it together. They don't have to motivate it. They don't have to put no schemes in. They just draft them, and they whatever they do well, they do it, and you get points and you win. Football is not like fantasy football. There's some things you will have to work to get better at. And just having the name ain't going to make you better. Because when you get in the toughest moments and you get into the games that the teams are just as good as you, it's going to come down to continuity, confidence, and the will to get somebody else to do it, and you have the will to get them to play your game. And the only way you're going to do that is you got to have an identity, and your identity is who you are, and that's how you win. Winning and losing is never guaranteed. Only thing you want to do as a player or as a coach is get the odds in your favor. And not having an identity is not getting your odds in your favor. Schottenheimer is trying to build an identity with a culture. Let's see if that can be done. But Cowboy fans, let's get on the real football and let's leave all that stuff alone. Let's hear it. Jerry them own the team. I believe they have given the coach enough to win. This man, do y'all see how this coaching staff is gushing over the talent on the team? Do y'all see that? They are gushing, man. The Jets defensive line coach said he ain't never been on team. He probably ain't got no. The Jets never. He's like, man, this team. Man, y'all got, listen here. We got a chance for our offensive line to be the best offensive line in football for probably 10 years. You know the average age of our the years experience on our offensive line right now, the starting offensive line right now, is 2.8 years. Not even 3 years, people. Tyler Booker, rookie. Tyler Smith, 4th year. Terrence Steele, 6th year. Beebe, 2nd year. Tyler Guyton, 2nd year. Three first-round draft picks. And Terrence Steele, who's got his next contract. Y'all don't see what y'all got here? Don't equate this because we didn't win is that you didn't have talent. Sometimes that's not the key. We didn't have no structure and a lame duck status, and then when your quarterback get hurt, I know somebody said, well, McCarthy went 12-5. I ask people this. Let's go back and look at that 12-5. Every big game that we played, how well did we play? So let's look at it. Let's look at our team. We have a chance, people. And let me go back to what I want to say, what I started out saying this show. The guys, Austin Rich is out, and I'm gonna go back through y'all stuff, and I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff y'all been talking about, and I'm gonna give my but I want to say this right quick. The guys that was in that chat that had me tagged in on X, those are real Cowboy fans. They are knowledgeable, they are invested, but I just wanted us to know, let's not be too thirsty. I know we thirsty, but let's make sure that this team know that it's not about who you get. You got enough. If we had done one thing we have not done, we hadn't worked hard enough, and we hadn't been humble enough to earn the right to be champions. And we put the work in, we can be champions. I heard somebody said talked about talked about uh talked about Austin Richards. Man, listen, man. Our second string offensive line probably could start in another team. Austin Richards could start someplace else. And he may start it with the Cowboys. Austin Richards could start the other undrafted free agent we had out of Oregon. He probably could start. Listen, man, the Cowboys, and listen, we picked up 3 or 4 guys that are veteran starters in this league to go along with the guys we got. Man, our offensive line is deep and talented. Now, what would I do with the offensive line that's deep and talented like that? And I hope this don't cut me down for monetization or stop me from getting. Well, I'm not gonna say it in a messed up way. Let me just say it in a good way. Then I would take this offensive line and all those guys we got that I said they were veteran guys that we picked up, and I would take them and beat the hell out of our defense every day. Because if I do that in training camp, our defense is only gonna get better. And when it ends up, our defense is gonna be dominant. That's how we getting better. Iron sharpen iron. That's how we're going to get better. And I think what we've been doing was we've been taking the light on our own players, and we don't have enough work with the other teams to get better. No, we got a young team. When you got a young team, hey, you got a young defensive line, you got a young offensive line. Guess what? Hey, baby, it's a bloodbath every day. Every day we can hear is a bloodbath because the injuries, D-Law's gone now. There is no old defensive lineman. There is no old offensive lineman. It's time to lace them up. Did y'all, and I said this on the last show, did y'all remember what Booker said, Tyler Booker said when he got interviewed? When he got interviewed by Michael Parsons, he talked about taking the soul, and everybody got all hyped about that, talking about, oh man. And Parsons was hyped. He was saying, you got to be ready to play. And then Michael Parsons said, man, all right, man, Booker, man, this saved me so I can be ready on Sunday. And Booker said, yeah, I can save you, man. You know that we're going to be ready on Sunday. But at some point, he stopped. He said, but at some point, we got to get better. I like that statement. Because he told Michael, at some point, me and you got to match up in practice because we got to get better. We got to get better. He said, yeah, we'll give each other a break, but at some point, iron got to sharpen iron. That's what's going to get us better. What's going to get us better if he goes in here for a bloodbath type of training camp. And I know Jared and we're going to say, well, you know, we got to be fresh and we just need to take the legs. We don't want to hurt. Listen here. If we don't put the work in, we're going to be disappointed in the season. This is not a veteran team that you got to take it light because they old. Your old guys are gone. Martin is gone. Terrence Steele, 6th year. Tyler Guyton, 2nd year. He don't need no rest. Too much rest last year when he got sick and he missed a week. That's what hurt his season. He missed 2 weeks. BB don't need no rest, 2nd year. Tyler Guyton don't need none. Austin Richards, 3rd year, he don't need none. Hoffman, he don't need none, 3rd year. The rookie that we picked up last year that was on the IR last year didn't play none. He don't need none. None of your defensive linemen are old. All your linebackers are young. There is no excuse. You got to bring it. And we do that. If we do that, Cowboy Nation, I don't care if we get somebody hurt. Don't back down. Because injuries going to happen. You want to get hurt and not be ready, or be pampered and you want to be have a chance of somebody. I ain't saying you're going to be crazy, but you can have a chance of somebody get hurt and your team be ready, or you can say, oh, well, we're going to be careful and nobody be ready. This is a new coaching staff. And if I was one of this new coaching staff, y'all say coach is old school. Listen, I'm a new coach. This is a new coaching staff. Only thing I seen y'all on film. You think I'm going to go about what the film say that you can do what I need you to do at full speed? No, I need to see it in live and living color. Because I don't want to wait to Sunday to find out that you can't do it the way I want you to do it. Let's go back to Philadelphia again. They won a Super Bowl, and Devontae Smith missed 4 games, I think, 3 to 4 games. Brown missed, 3 games, 3 or 4 games himself. Jalen Hurts missed, 3, 4 games. They still had the best record in the league. Now, injury here and there don't mean your season over with. But they was ready. And I mean this. Those who sweat more in peace bleed less in war. And my biggest issue with the Cowboys for the last 5, maybe longer than that, is we don't work hard enough. We Hollywood in the media, and we Hollywood when it comes to practice. And then and the Hollywood leads to, and I tell you what, one of the things that soft team, and listen, somebody talked about Pickens. One thing about Pickens is Pickens will embarrass you in practice if you're not ready. And he gonna talk trash with it. He got that Des Bryant type thing in it. So you better come ready to play against him. I like that about him. And he used to coming out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh go line up, they go wide open. So when he come to Dallas, you can make him soft now by being soft. If anything, Schottenheimer, your job is to work this team and get your respect because you make them work. I don't want to hear about, oh, Schottenheimer know how to take care of our bodies. Take care of their bodies after they don't work hard enough. Andy Reid work harder than anybody. If our training camp ain't harder than Andy Reid or San Francisco, which they have the 2 toughest training camps in the league, if our training camp is not compared to them or better or worse than them, then we ain't working hard enough. To be the best, you got to work harder than the best. The humbleness and work, that's what it is. And I don't hear nobody talks about that. Everybody talk about everything else about we ain't get the free agents, or we ain't got, well, they ain't did this, they didn't get this player, well, we didn't get that player, we didn't pay him that money, or we didn't get this one in, we get that. Nobody talks about, hell, we might not work harder than everybody else. Why we don't talk about, hey, man, why all our players didn't play better? let's go to work, Cowboy fans. Let's go to work on our team to get them to work harder. Nobody talks about work. You know something? That's a microcosm of how society is right now. That's a microcosm of how society is. Everybody wants to say, I need more. I didn't do it because I didn't get this. Nobody talks about maybe I didn't work as hard. And some of y'all out there are content creators. Well, I know I see church in the book in the building. Some of y'all guys have gotten y'all channel up to 6, 7, 10,000 people, right? But y'all put in work to do that. I found out because I'm on this end now, and I say, damn, y'all put in more work than I had to put in the coaching. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? But y'all put work in. You got to make content. You got to get out there. You got to do your research. You got to do that. It ain't gonna come just by osmosis, and just because you got the best camera, or you got the best computer, or you got the best lens, or you got the best editing, that's gonna make you the best. No, you got to put that work in. If you don't put that work in, it ain't not gonna happen. And when I hear about Kansas City got the toughest training camp, then I look at our training camp. Every year, it's some guy doggone fashion show out there. Listen, I got mad, and I'm gonna say this, man, and I'm about to get off because I know I've been on long. I got mad 2 times. And let me explain what I talk about training camp. And I always talk. Last year, 2 years ago, Hankins was here. And Hankins and him and D-Law had a podcast. That's how I knew D-Law was weighing 245 pounds during the season. Plus, I got an inside, I got inside information. And that's all D-Law was weighing, about 245. And he couldn't be run on. Stand defensive tackles up, stand up guards, everywhere. So don't give me this about you undersized, can be. It's about if you're a dog or not in the run game. That's just about being a man when the run game. So, but Hankins said, man, I like when we come to Dallas, man. He said, when I went to training camp, man, I got my family got to come out there. I got to visit my family and spend some time with my family and all that. And I was like, what the? Spend time with your family. And then I heard Michael Parsons. And I'm not ripping Michael, but they asked Michael, was he going to be at training camp this year because he may not have a contract, which that's another thing. That's ownership all the way. Let's go ahead and get this done. Let's cut that distraction out. But we trying to make a big spectacle of this. And the Cowboys, and I'll say this about that one thing about the contract. Don't let the Cowboys fool you thinking that they try to make a big spectacle out of it. If they were bidding against somebody, this contract has already been done. He in a situation he can't bid against nobody, so they just trying to make it look like they playing tough thing. They ain't bidding against nobody. I see how Olsen got his contract done fast, ain't it? Because he about to be a free agent. He about that right before he got saying start talking to people, they know that they couldn't let that happen. And guess what? Contract was done. Anyway. Parsons said, yeah, he's gonna be at training camp. And then he said, I'm gonna be at training camp. Yeah, I already got my house. I already rented my house. My mom gonna be there. My kids gonna be there. All my family gonna be down there. I'm like, what? What is training camp, man? Is this a vacation? If I was a coach, and this year we come in here, and I know that we got to put this together, I would say this to my team, and y'all may say, Coach, you being old school, that don't mean nothing, but this is what I would say. I need a month. I don't want no families there until we get to this time for them to have family day. But I need a month. We can stay in dorms, we can stay in the hotels, there, whatever. But I need a month of just us. Yeah, I know we're gonna have all the fans there. Yeah, they already selling the hot dogs and the t-shirts and the rocks and everything. I understand they selling everything there. But let them be there. But no family. But I need football, meetings, and us for a month. I need us to get focused on us. And then after that, we're going back to the crazy back in Dallas where things get and everything will be crazy. But I need a month. I need a month from y'all. And this 3 weeks before, this month before we go to training camp, I'm gonna tell you, y'all go take your families, whatever, do all you want to do with your families. But when we get back to go on that plane, I need a month. I don't want to see no family there. I need a month. And we're gonna go to work. Because the hay gotta be in the barn when we leave. That don't mean the farming ain't done, but the hay gotta be in the barn. And they ain't got nothing to do with Jared them publicity. But that'd be a head coach set rule. And that's solidifying to my team is work time now. And if some don't like it, I'm good. I'm glad that I want some of them to like it. But you're going to do it. That's how I would approach that. Because we got to get serious about football. Football got to be first. Because all this other stuff that they're getting is because of football. We just got to go to work, man. We got to go to work. And we got to get focused on us. Now, one thing I would like for y'all to help me with. I had a lot of people out there in this chat today, man. This chat, I think I got more comments where y'all was talking with each other and making some very good comments, man. Some of the people have been just commenting the whole time, and I thank you so much because that helps my numbers when you get out there and you comment. I would like for everybody out there that came through here to please come out and push that like. If you in this thing, you ain't push that like button. You've been here and we just been talking this thing, man. That's hurting to me. But I would like you to push that like button. I would like for you to share this out. I would like for you to, if you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to by the next week, trying to get to 500 subscribers. I'm at 450, almost 450 now. I mean 350 right now. I'm trying to get to 500. You know, trying to get to that monetization level, man. I'm almost there with the viewing hours. I got a guy that's gonna come in next week that we're gonna talk about him being a producer of my show. So I'm gonna try to get a lot more of visual and get a little bit more better with the cameras and all that other stuff, man. So I'm trying to put the work in because this is a new arena for me. But I know a lot of y'all may say, "Well, coach don't come with the thing about players and getting this free agent." Because I've seen teams that got a bunch of free agents that don't work. It's gonna take some continuity and some togetherness. And one thing, and I hadn't said this much, and I need to start saying this. For every great team, there must be sacrifice. Let's put it like this. I'm going farther than that. Something than talking about great team. For every great thing, there must be sacrifice. I'm gonna say it again to y'all because I don't think y'all heard me. For every great thing, there must be some sacrifice. And that's why I said sacrificing a month away from your families is not a big sacrifice if it helps just a little bit of holding that Lombardi trophy up at the end of the year in February. Who's going to sacrifice on this team? Who's going to sacrifice? Is Dak Prescott going to sacrifice the pressures that of everybody who's putting the championship on him? Is he going to sacrifice to say, let's give some other people, let's lean on some other people for them to do well? Because it's going to take all of us, like Schottenheim's been saying. I thank y'all so much, man. I think that some of the guys that's coming in here, man, I mean, I feel honored when I get people like Tyrone Church coming in here, man, and some of these other content creators and some of these other people who've been on other shows and stuff like that. Kid Cowboy, man, I shucks, man, you don't know how much I really appreciate you, man, all the comments that you have given. And JVB boy, man, some of the other, I'm not, if I miss you, man, that you came in here, man, blame a common sense, man. Common sense, you got to give me a call, man. We got to talk some football, man. Man, common sense. A lot of these other people who has come in this chat, man, and they have this Wee Woo Cowboy. All these people, man, that's coming here, man, and just came in here to visit with me, man. And let's keep this thing going on Twitter. I mean, on X, man. Let's keep this thing going on these other platforms, man. Let's keep putting those things out. But I wanted one thing, if I can get y'all all to do. If you got a Twitter account, an X account, if you got a Facebook account, you got any type of account, I want you to put out a message to Cowboy Land to say,